A few months ago I made my first Minecraft horror game, Staticaphobia. Since then, a few people uploaded their own videos on it, and so I decided to implement their feedback in one big update. Come along with me as I try to fix my horror game. The first thing I did was expand the lobby so that each level had its own doorway, and here we finally have the completed lobby. It's nice and simple, just got several doorways that will open as you unlock the levels, and over here we have the bonus levels, which will be the existing levels I made for the old version of the game, in case people want to play more. Now, one of the main changes that I'm going to do is have each of these 5 first levels be built by me by hand instead of being procedurally generated. Because although the procedural generation was fun, and it will still be present in the bonus levels, it didn't really resonate with people that played the game. So now we're going to have pre-built custom levels with layouts that make more sense to really try and hook people into the game. You may notice on the right hand side of my screen also there is now a money scoreboard. This will only show up when there is not a game present, and it calculates the total money that a player has in their inventory, and this adds a competitive element to the game between you and your friends. Unfortunately, if you spend that money, it will then go down, so it's not your lifetime earnings, it's just your current earnings, which means if you die and can't pick up your stuff, you'll go back to 0. There is also now a vending machine here, which means that players don't have to find this little tucked away shop. I'm going to leave this shop here because I do quite like it and it is quite cute, but a lot of the feedback I got was that it was just too hard to find and that this lobby was just too hard to navigate. So when a game is in session, players will be instantly respawned right here in the main lobby room, and then they can just go straight back to whatever level they're playing, which will be obvious because it will be the only door that's open. So that's the changes I've made so far. Back to future me to figure out what to do next. Thanks, past me. Next I moved on to redesigning the first 5 levels. Like I said before, these levels were originally randomly generated with jigsaw blocks, but I remade them to make the layouts more logical for the players. Much simpler layout, much more cohesive layout. I've tried to put all of the dead ends into rooms instead of just blank walls. And also, the reception now has 3 separate routes that can be taken. And there's a generator down each of these, which just makes things a lot simpler and a lot nicer for the players, especially as this is only the first level. Scattered around, we still have the old spawners, which is just armor stands that detect when a player gets near them. They then check if there are any monsters already nearby, and if there aren't, they spawn one of the 4 different monster types that we have. It also checks how many of the objectives have been fulfilled, because the game gets harder the more objectives you fill. So for example, each of these generators is a separate objective. Once you've got at least 2 of the generators on, the last level will become much harder. But for simplicity's sake, I think this is a good first level, so let's give it. If I go down here, I should be teleported to the first level. Yes, I am. And as you can see, I've reworked the torches so they look better. Well, at least we know the levels are active, and the new spawn point works. That's excellent. That all worked flawlessly. So that's the first level. All good there. Gave me a little bit of a scare, which is excellent. And as you can see here, now that we've completed the first level, it has lighted up green, and the door for the second level is now open. This is starting to seem pretty achievable now. These are all things I should have implemented the first time around. I then built the next level and designed a unique game mode for it. Now that level 2 has been built, we can go and check it out. So this level has an entirely new game mechanic, which is about collecting money. But as you can see, we have to collect $100 in the map, and that will fill up the boss bar. And we've already got a monster over there, but I'm just gonna... I don't think he's noticed me. And as we collect money, the boss bar will slowly fill up. And also it's a different theme here. We've got the office tiles in place, which is one of my favourite things. I know it's a bit of a rip-off from the back rooms, but it's just such a nice aesthetic, and I think I did a really good job decorating this area. So I'm glad that it's in the second level. This is a good chance to show off a bug that I've encountered, actually, as this monster's here. Because the way the torch works is it puts a pumpkin on your head, and creaking don't stop, which is what this mob is based on, don't respond to pumpkins. So if you have the torch, it's going to come towards you. But I'm working on a fix for that. What was that about torches? How did the game go from this to this? One of the main visual changes I made to this project was making the flashlights actually look like, well, flashlights. I did this by giving the player the blindness effect, making it real dark. Then I removed the effect when they held a torch, and added a custom texture of a pumpkin which will appear on the player's head. However, doing this was not without its consequences. Once again, my face is a machine gun because we've got the particles back on. What I need to check is this. Okay, so when you're holding the torch, you are still spitting out a raycast. Now we've got an angel here. The raycast hits it, and it should get the slowness effect, and it is not getting the slowness effect. Okay, so we're gonna have to do this slightly differently, and possibly use an attribute modifier. So here is the code for our raycast, and this right here, we can get rid of that now because we know it does still work when you have the pumpkin on your head. What we need to figure out is this. So I don't think the creaking can have the slowness effect. So what I'm going to do instead is an attribute set 0. So now whenever it hits a creaking, I'm going to have to put this down to 1. Movement speed base set value 0. And I hit reload. Oh. Why is he so speedy? Why are you so speedy? This issue is more complex than I thought. So it might be an issue with our raycast detecting the entity. There is definitely a creaking there, and it's definitely visible. So why is the raycast skipping over it? I finally think I've done it! If I spawn another one in, you can see that he's got the slowness particles, finally. And if I go into adventure mode with a torch, he is stuck there. He cannot move. He'll turn to face me, which is quite terrifying. But he cannot move. And he can still attack me though, so keep your distance from him. Yup, it's working. Can he actually attack me though? I think because of... Okay, I'll show you what I've done and how we've got to this point. So all I did was change the distance at which this would be effective. But I think that now means that he just can't attack me. So I think what I need to use instead is DX. But I'm not sure how to use DX. Conundrums. They just seem to add up. And now the issue is finally fixed. Why is he now not going after me? Okay, he's seen me. Yep, he can now attack me. And all I had to do was decrease the radius at which the ray trace affected him so that he could get close enough to me to attack. It also means that he will freeze after he attacks you, which stops you from getting swamped. You just have to make sure to keep looking directly at it, rather than just anywhere on the screen like the regular creaking. I hope you enjoyed this little segment that was a in-depth tour of what it's like to develop a game like this. This was literally just one feature. This was one bug, which was the mobs based on the creaking don't freeze if you're holding a torch, because you technically have a pumpkin on your head, which is how you get the torch vignette. This took hours to fix. Hours! There's so much footage from this that I'm probably not going to use. But yeah, this was a much more Let's Play style feature. Let's go back on to the showcase of new features for the updated version of Staticaphobia. Next up, I wanted to introduce another new game mode and a new item. As promised, we've got some new features, which includes an entirely new game mode for level 3. So let's go and check that out now. Well, that's our first glitch right off the bat, is there shouldn't be the time one up there. But our new feature and our new item is the camera. And what we've got to do is photograph 3 different monsters. So there's one right there. It killed the monster and it has gone up by 1. I might have to redo this so you have to hunt for them a bit more. Fucking Christ. That mob acted exactly as intended. I'm thinking that that might need to become a bit more difficult, and we may need more mobs to photograph. But that scared the life out of me, that screamer that came around the corner. Oh god. Yeah, that was pretty terrifying. And here is level 5, which you may notice I've made loop back on itself a lot more than the other levels did. And this is just because I wanted to really show off each area and give it its distinct zones that all link together nicely. I also think that this will be better for the players, as they won't have to be backtracking as much, as they can basically keep walking in one direction most of the way and they will eventually end up back where they started, which is especially good for the keys game mode, which I explained in the original video. But basically they just need to find 3 keys, bring them back and put them into this door here to get out of the level. It's the most simple game mode, and that is why I have reserved it for level 4. Let's go check out level 5 now. Level 5 reuses the timed escape mechanic from the original, but that's not what I want to talk about right now. I want to talk about sound design. The old game was very quiet, but I fixed that now. We have a custom-made little background noise. Up the top here we've got that one frequency that makes you feel really uneasy. And then we've got some fluorescent lights, some distant telephones, water drips, doors opening, footsteps and knocking that will play intermittently. But let me just show you what I mean by playing some of that. That's a little taster of what it's gonna sound like when you're exploring in-game. Oh yeah, this has really all come together now. We've got complete darkness when you don't hold a torch, which makes the torch feel a lot more useful. We've got creepy ambient sounds and frequencies. We've got our clear goal. We've got new game modes. Oh, there are so many improvements that have happened to this game in the past few days. Thank you to everyone that helped me playtest it, and thank you to everyone that's played it already or is going to play it. If you've played this game before, consider revisiting it now. It's much improved, and I think it makes for a much better gameplay experience. Thank you for watching to the end. I know this video was slightly less structured than my normal ones are, but I hope you enjoyed this little tour of what it's like working on a Minecraft data pack. And if you'd like to play this game for yourself, the update is out now on CurseForge and Planet Minecraft. So really you have no excuse not to. But go, have fun, play it with your friends, and tell me what you think. I'd love to get more audience feedback. Anyway, I'll be seeing you.